So I did have a video recently kind of talking about how Cody Rhodes' second title reign might go. And unfortunately, since he is kind of filming a movie, it's kind of hard to really kind of judge what's happening right now because he's not there. SmackDown's kind of felt a little bit of a hole because there's no top world men's champion there that these guys like an Aleister Black, Damian Priest, or Drew, right, should be going for. We made Drew look strong with kind of taking Cody out, but now the WWE title is kind of just gone for a minute. While even being on Cena, we could have done a lot more like right now. But beyond that, with Cody having the belt now and kind of going off to film movies, and both Roman and him being off to film Street Fighter, it kind of does beg the question of like what other top male stars they have kind of coming up, especially on the face side. I think we do have Braun Breaker, which can probably be a really cool tweener when it comes down to it, right? You have Bronson Reed, who will probably be a big monster heel, you know what I mean, kind of like a Vader or a Bigelow. Besides, like, you have right now in the top of the card LA, Jay, who are already, like, they are 40 plus, so they kind of are in the primes and coming out of them, right? So their world title runs are they're kind of on the rear view mirror of everything in general, right? So it's like there aren't a bunch of guys that are like coming into it, like into their 30s, I think, in the men's division that are really prominent and like seem to have momentum to be huge stars going forward. I think there's a lot of NXT prospects, like a crap ton, right? Like you have Oba, you have Trick, you have Javon Evans, you have all these guys that are just like, in my opinion, like, they're ready to go. I think someone like Mello, I think actually what they're doing with Mello and Miz right now is actually interesting and finally something to kind of build Mello's character and his idea of agency, trying to, finally step on Miz's foot and be like, bro, I actually want to do something. Let's stop using my talent, Miz. And I just hope, like, especially with like how Austin Theory and Grayson have been kind of treated and what they've been doing with what they've given, it does feel kind of like there is a huge hole, in that men's division. Cody not being present, to kind of carry SmackDown with that belt right now does kind of hurt the overall narrative that many of the people do have on SmackDown. You kind of have a lot of people loitering. Drew hasn't really done much. I feel like, if Cody wants to have a really significant reign, especially when he comes back from filming, there needs to be a multitude of defenses, because Seth Rollins right now is kind of putting the company on his back with his wife Becky Lynch, and I think Punk and AJ coming back is a cherry on top of that. But like, I do feel the WWE title has now become something that people kind of completely have forgot about right now. I don't know if it's necessarily Cody's fault either, because the SummerSlam match was the perfect way to do that handoff of the title to Cena. So it is kind of a weird conundrum to have like this kind of happen right now, because Cody is a WWE champion and Roman is. I think you could actually work the fact that they are doing the movie into their characters. I think Cody, being the WWE champion, can probably do like some satellite stuff, like, hey, I'm here, like, filming movies and I still have the belt with me. And I think that's still a legit angle for a WWE champion to do, because it reminds you that the title exists, it's on TV, and while he's not necessarily defending it, he's reminding you that he's there. I think if Cody was going to be off filming this stuff, it is kind of interesting that he kind of took the title and left, after the Cena match. I feel like, Cena could have gotten him again and people would have been really surprised by that overall finish. And then, in before the Brock, or maybe after the Brock defense, Cody actually does retire him. And maybe even in between that, you have like an AJ Styles, John Cena WWE title match that has a prime Cena and AJ battle it out one more time, and then you can have right after that, once Cody comes back from filming, I don't know if that would line up for December or not, that you would have Cody actually win the title back once he came back. Just like when Cody had the title the first time, while he was on TV with it, it didn't feel like people were really chasing him for it, except for a select few. It felt like people were being kind of off in an island of themselves instead of being able to just say directly, I want to challenge Cody for it. Whereas the world heavyweight title has actually been booked in a way where it does feel like people can just like kind of, it's like an attainable goal. The WWE Championship, I feel like recently has felt like a big politic title. Not even to Cody's like dismay, but I think ever since really the Roman run, you know, it's been kind of like every single title reign with it has been kind of extremely notable. So it's kind of hard to bring that back down a notch to maybe get your Damian Priestes and your Gunthers to like have a 4 or 5 month title reign. The Cena you know, reign is like really the first short, less than a year title reign the belt's had probably in half a decade, right? I do think that hopefully when Cody returns, there's more prominence to the belt, you know, and stuff like that. And I do hope that Drew, a lot of people on SmackDown like Drew, Aleister Black, maybe, you know what I mean, Andrade and Melo, like those people specifically kind of get some shots at the WWE title, not necessarily obviously a win, but some relevance and, you know, pot shots, I think, in that realm, so that we start thinking about their tipping their hat into the fold like we now do with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. I think we really kind of need that, because on the women's side there's so many top talents overflowing, you know what I mean, that they even had Stephanie, Rhea, and Tiffany on NXT for Homecoming. So I do think, you know, the Cody kind of not being there with his second reign for the WWE title, especially in that huge passing of the torch moment that essentially was that SummerSlam match, is kind of a huge disappointment when we're going to think about it in the long term, I think, because it's like, I understand he is filming a movie and that's that circumstance, right? But it does make his character not look the greatest, because it's like, you know, he's not there being QB1. But I digress. You know, I like Cody. He's able to kind of spin it around. He'll come back in one segment and win us back over. But I just do think in their terms of writing, they can do a better job of making Cody feel more prolific with his title reign. And I think that's primarily the issue that they need to address with Cody Rhodes' reign.